Hi, welcome back, weary travelers. We have another episode of 31 Days of Horror on our Fight or Flight network. This is the one where we give you 7 movies for 7 days, the whole month of October, we're going to do. So, we have a new guest today, Bradykins.
Hi.
Hi,
He's
Brady.
returning guest.
Well, he's new guest to 31 Days of Horror, but
Oh,
he
right.
is on our What Doesn't Kill Us podcast.
Which belongs to which network?
Fight or Flight Network.
Oh, right.
Yeah, let's say that again, just for good measure.
Fight or Flight Network. Fight or Flight Network.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. I guess I'm going to go ahead and start, and my theme for this week is kind of like offbeat vampire movies, and we talked about one earlier in our other thing about Byzantium. It is a fantastic film. It's one of those movies where they could have honestly taken out the part of it being vampires, and it still would have been a great movie because that's not really what it was about. And it's just about a mother and a daughter surviving, where the daughter doesn't know that's actually what they're doing, really. But it's really good. The actors are amazing. I always say her name wrong. Gemma whatever.
Arterton, yeah.
Arterton, yeah.
And spoiler alert, we don't necessarily know their mother and daughter at the beginning, but it's okay.
Oh. I figured it out right away.
You did? Because I wasn't sure.
No, well, it was just the way that the daughter immediately treated her. I was like...
a sullen teenager.
Yeah. I was like, she's either her legit mother, or she is her... whatever. At the time, I didn't know it was vampires, but like... whatever supernatural thing they are, she is her creator.
Oh. Okay.
I just didn't know which one it was. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's a little slower pace, but it kind of makes for more like when I say romantic, I don't mean love romantic, but like the romantic era kind of setting. It's really good. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's on Netflix right now. And that's why I finally caught it. I've been waiting for that one for a while.
I think it's 2012.
Yeah, it's a fairly recent movie.
And it's directed by Neil Jordan. And this is his second vampire movie, but I think it's 100 times better than Interview with the Vampire. So I know
What was it called?
Byzantium.
Byzantium,
Which is a strange title, but it's the name of the hotel they're staying at.
Okay.
And it has a lot of Neil Jordan kind of. You were talking last time, Monica, about it has fairy tale elements to it. It also has some great female. There's some feminist stuff when they go back in time.
Yeah,
really
it's pretty. Of all the movies that we talk about being a good image for women, even though she is like a prostitute, she still is a very strong character. Driven, will do whatever it takes. Like, I really like her a lot.
And who plays the daughter? It's somebody really famous.
It's the girl from... Isn't it the girl from Lovely Bones? I forgot. I'd have to look it up again.
You know, she plays that girl raised to be a assassin. What the hell is that movie? With,
Hannah?
Yeah.
Hannah, that's what it was,
okay.
yeah.
She's the lead actress in Hannah. She's really Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse Ronan.
Swarcy, yeah.
She's really big.
Yeah,
So
whatever.
it's both. She's as good as the mother. They're both really good.
Yeah, they're pretty. And even the guy who plays the
boyfriend,
weird heartthrob, I like him a lot too. He's in that Cronenberg movie. Not Cronenberg. I think it was his kid.
Oh, he's in that?
Antiviral, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is weird.
Yeah. I haven't
But I
seen
love
it yet.
it. I totally love it. I love
Brady,
almost...
have you seen Byzantium?
I haven't.
It's the best. It's the best. The way they become vampires is like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah,
It
and I
is
like
totally
too that
different.
they don't have the fangs. I thought that was really cool. Okay, so my second one for offbeat, not your typical vampire story, is an older one called Cronos. I think it's a Spanish film. I'm sorry, I fell asleep today and totally did not come prepared.
It's
I
Mr.
just
Del Toro, I think.
yes. And it's one of those slower paced, but with the crazy payoff. And the reason why I like it too is a lot of vampire movies, just vampires by nature, are overly sexualized, and all their films are sensationalist films. And this one is just slow paced and it's elegant. And
It's got some scares and horror in it though.
yeah, it does. I mean, it's still a horror film, but it's a lot more mature because it's dealing with a mature person, like this older dude.
Yeah.
My favorite scene is the first time when he actually like realizes what this is going on and he like licks up that blood and it's just the slow roll movement and they do it like it's just a beautiful film. It's incredible.
Is Ron Perlman in that one? Because
Oh god, Ron Perlman's in every
in
movie.
every Del Toro movie, but
Not just every Del Toro movie, every movie. Yes,
well,
yes,
that
he is.
too. He's so good in this, though. He's really
Yeah.
well. He's always good. I mean, if you're a Ron Perlman guy, you got to see this. And this is less known because it's a Spanish language film, even though he's in it speaking English, right?
And it's
been a while.
yeah, it's a movie that I heard about several years ago, and I put it on my Netflix queue, and it's been on my Netflix queue. I think it was on my Netflix queue for like 3 years because it was always rented out until I finally got to watch it, and I saw it like 4 years ago. But still, and now it's still hard to find. But if you can get a hold of it, it's a beautiful movie, absolutely beautiful.
Here.
So, those are my two more beautiful, elegant, offbeat vampire movies. All right, Bradykins.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go completely the opposite direction. These guys
That's
were
okay. I
we don't
had a
actually
monster-
know where he's going to go because he kept changing his mind. So it's all
yeah,
exciting.
these guys were making fun of me for just
all
watching
moving on.
all of the movies. Just watch this and do this one and everything. But I am going to go with the Hatchet series just because they're not necessarily good. They're fun.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Hatchet series, because I know a book series called Hatchet.
So the idea that they had when they decided to make the first Hatchet movie was they were going to get as many people from the iconic horror movies together and just make them random characters. So there's so many people that just pop in and they're just minor characters and it's pretty entertaining. But it's really the first one is very much just I don't know, kind of an homage to the slasher film. Just
Okay.
That's how they started it, and they've got some really brutal deaths in it.
So it's not based off the book.
No, not that I'm aware of. I don't think so. Maybe. I'll have to check. Just to see what's going on.
It doesn't look like it from the IMDb page.
Probably not.
Well, the book isn't really a horror
Yeah, this is
survival, but
comedy horror. It says it's not a remake, it's not a sequel, and it's not based on a Japanese one. That's the tagline. If that's the film's tagline, I really want to see it now.
that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's fun times. Just because they wanted to do something different because it was usually remakes were coming out, or it was like in the heyday of The Grudge and The Eye and things like that, where they're just remaking other Japanese horror films.
Yeah.
But they just have a lot of fun with it, and it's not quite the goriest movie ever, but they've got some really interesting deaths that happen. And the best part about the entire series is in a lot of the slasher films, right before the credits roll, there's usually that, oh no, are they actually safe, or is the killer still alive?
Yeah.
And of course that happens at the end of Hatchet. And then there's Hatchet 2, and it picks up exactly at that moment. And then it continues. And then it happens again.
That's one thing I did like about the Del Toro series, The Strain and The Fall. It's like one book, literally, like they finish a sentence, and then the next book picks up on like the reply of that sentence. It's just like they do not miss a beat.
How many are there?
There's
Brady?
3.
Hatchet
sorry.
3.
There's 3 Hatchets as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think... I think the third one, everyone stopped caring. And I was reading about it, and they're saying that the third one has kind of the best reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but likely because not a lot of people actually saw it, reviewed it. Makes sense because they're not good. And the first one's fun, absolutely. Just it's a lot of fun just to watch it because it is just slasher films. I don't remember why I watched this movie. I was working at a video store and I looked over and I saw this Hatchet and I was like, why not? I'll watch it. And then just amazing.
Oh,
that is that. Oh,
I'm just going to read the plot
ahead.
synopsis really quick.
Okay.
When a group of tourists on a New Orleans haunted swamp tour find themselves stranded in the wilderness, their evening of fun and spooks turns into a horrific nightmare. And it won awards at Austin Fantastic Fest, Fantasia Film Festival, Fright Meter Awards. Like, it was really well regarded.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is fun all around.
So that's cool.
That is one thing that I kind of have a problem with modern horror is that it takes itself too seriously. Like in the 80s you had like Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Terror Vision and all these slasher murder movies that were made to be fun and they are so much fun to watch.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes horror tries too hard to be serious and legit and I'm like, dude, just have fun.
Right.
Like Evil Dead or Dead Alive or these movies are amazing because they were just having fun.
Yeah, they're good, they're fun, but they're also not scary. So that was where like the entire genre went to the super serious. We're going to try to scare you, freak you out, sort of thing. And we've got like the almost gore porn movies like Hostel and Saw.
Well, I blame this all on Danny Boyle and Christopher Nolan, who take this way too seriously.
Basically, yeah.
28 Days Later changed everything, and Batman. What's the first Batman?
Batman Begins.
Yeah, it's just
Begins,
I mean, I understand you want to try a different way of doing genre. Right. It's cool.
And those are awesome.
They're great.
They don't have to be what every single movie is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but it was a trend. I think it's kind of over, right?
Yeah, I think we're moving on, and we are getting back to. There's a very interesting trend that's happening right now when it comes to, I guess, TV series. Like we're getting a lot of these movies and getting them translated into TV series. And one of the ones that I'm actually looking forward to seeing how it does is Westworld.
I can't believe they're doing that. That's so funny.
I know, like.
There's an Evil Dead TV series coming too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How are they going to pull that off?
I don't know, but it's got Lucy Lawless. I'm in.
Oh
yes.
wow.
Yeah, like
That's a coup.
it's just going to be fun,
Oh, really?
and it really is just them having fun with the whole Evil Dead mythology.
Right.
But I don't know how they're really going to pull off Westworld, because if you guys haven't seen Westworld, by the way,
haven't. It's on my list. You
go
just
watch it.
Watch
Like,
it.
It's just an interesting concept. It is one of the older, horror films that happens, and it's just these, a theme park essentially.
The animatronics or whatever.
Yeah, and then the AI goes crazy, and
it's very dated.
I wonder if
how they're
because
gonna
of
update it, or
Five
keep it
Nights
in the
at
70s.
Freddy's fame is so big that they're trying to go towards animatronics in movies. I don't know. That's just something that popped in my head right now. I don't know.
Right.
Well, I bet
haven't
you.
researched this or anything.
I'm sure practical effects are making a comeback, like everything else, right?
Yeah, especially after what we saw with Fury Road, because a lot of that is very much special, like practical effects mixed in with special effects. And I think hopefully with the popularity of that and how people are saying that it's visually stunning, that we'll start seeing that reflected in horror, because it's been forever since we've had something like that. Like I grew up watching Alfred Hitchcock, and all of that it's all about cinematography. It's all about.
Dubs, his show is on Netflix now.
Who?
Is it?
The Alfred Hitchcock show. I forget what it's
the
called.
Alfred Hitchcock Hour?
Yeah, it's on Netflix now to watch. I've been going through and watching it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Something that we can like how I started talking about Hatchet. And now we're just talking. This
So
is
what's your
watch
next
everything.
What's your next movie? Do you have another one?
I mean, I was supposed to be just talking about the Hatchet
Series?
because since it's 3 of them, it's something
3
to watch.
movies for the price of 1.
So,
Right.
so you said one picks up exactly where the last one falls. All 3 of them do that?
So when at the end of the first one, it's just this ridiculous scene. Like every horror film has this where the heroes are like starting to fight back, and they survive and hooray, and then all of a sudden you get that flash of wait. So the second movie picks up exactly where that ends, and there's just this a whole bunch of stuff happens, but the movies actually feel like almost different sort of genres. Like, first one is very much just your regular, people going out and ended up in their slasher film, and then the second one is like focused around the main chick. Like, everyone thinks she's crazy. They think that she's the killer and things like that. So it's very interesting to watch the progression of the story, because you get the three different types of these slasher films.
And what's the basic idea of the third one?
The third one is basically the chick trying to stop everything. Like, she's finally going like this curse is around, so let's stop the curse.
Okay.
Right. So
So good final girl ending, yeah?
right.
Cool.
I guess, I don't know. It's the entire curse thing gets a little sideways, to be honest.
Is there anything you want to say about
Don't all curses do?
Yes.
Wait, what exactly? You mean sideways in that it stops being like they forget about it for a while?
Yeah.
No, it's just when you put it into the perspective of all of the movies together, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, the entire idea that's presented in the third one is the killer is a repeater, so he's doomed to repeat the last bit of his life until whatever stops it.
So you really of the 31 days of Halloween, you want people to spend 3 of those nights or 3 of those days watching each of the Hatchets?
Yes.
Okay. Just
Okay.
making sure that's what you mean.
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't say sit down and watch them back to back, just
Okay.
because you're going to be sick of the character after that long. But you watch one
Intersperse
day,
them.
and you just come back the next day or maybe later in the week, just because it's the character's a little grating, but it's fun. And there's some really great, like, if you like slasher, I'm a huge slasher fan. It's just they're a lot of fun. I like watching people get murdered. I don't know.
Well, they all do. So
Yeah,
we've got. I see Robert Englund's in it.
Mhm.
I
What
love
is he
him.
not in?
Right.
And you say there's other people from other horror
Yeah,
films that show up. I don't recognize any
What's
of
his
the
name?
names.
The guy from Candyman, I believe.
Mm.
Is that him? Yeah. No. Let's see. Yeah, but there's a handful of them. I can't remember who all they are, but they're always just kind of there.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Never even heard of him.
yeah, fun little things that happen.
Oh, that's one of those guys is from Avatar and Bones. I like that guy.
Oh yeah. The deaths are completely over the top and fantastic, and that's really the reason why I'm suggesting Hatchet, is because if you like the slasher films and the bizarre deaths and the gory just ripping people apart, Hatchet is everything you could ever possibly want.
So this guy, the guy Adam Green who did Hatchet 1 and 2 and I guess 3, did this movie called Frozen, not the Disney animated, but this other one, this horror film where people get stuck.
On
Thriller. Yeah, they get stuck on the
on those little cart
right,
things.
the ski slope, chairlift.
Right.
I haven't
And-
seen that one, but
yeah,
I've heard a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah. So brutal but terrific, it says, and that's his most recent thing. The guy who did Hatchet. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly, the guy isn't that bad at what he does.
He's just building on the house he built.
Yeah,
Building on the
that
Hatchet
kinda-
house. You know what I mean.
Exactly.
Okay, so my theme this week was cults, not cult films, but films about cults. They could be
I
cult
love
films.
those movies.
Yeah, I saw the first one is from 1971. I'm still on my 70s kick. I think the majority of my recommendations have been from the 70s. The Brotherhood of Satan. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, that sounds
Awesome.
awesome.
It's God, it's let me read a family is trapped in a desert town by a cult of senior citizens who recruit the town's children to worship Satan. It is amazing.
Okay.
Basically, it's 7 movies in one. It's like a prequel to Rosemary's Baby. It's all these really old people worshiping Satan, and they really get into it. It's some really great acting. And then you've got Children of the Damned, or Village of the Damned type children. And then you've got dolls and toys that come alive. Then you've got a family trapped in a town that's right out of Twilight Zone. Nobody in the town, can leave. Every time they try to leave, there's an accident or something. And you've got a priest fighting with a doctor about whether it's metaphysical or not. And then you've got these incredible sequences of these rituals that they do. Now it's widescreen, and some of the directing is really, and cinematography is really beautiful and really smart, and the colors really pop. It's very pop. But then you get this really beautiful crafted, and then you go into the scenes where they do the rituals, and the set's made out of cardboard and paper mache, and it's like, what's going on?
You know what? It's more believable that these old people made it.
It's true though. I think that's true. It's so true. There is something like that about this, and the old people have got to be like old theater people who've done Shakespeare, because they act out of this stuff. It is amazing. There's a scene where an old woman goes in, and she's been rejected by the group, and she's trying to get back into the good graces of the satanic group. It's just so funny. But the desperation, and this whole scene plays out, it's like at this fever pitch. So you get all kinds of wild, all these different acting styles, all these different visual styles, and like 5-6 different kinds of genre. And somehow I think it all fits together. It was written by L.Q. Jones, who's this actor who's been in a thousand things, mostly cowboy things. And the only other movie he wrote was Boy and His Dog, which is this really weird a post-apocalyptic film.
Yes. Something to watch for sure.
Yeah, with Don Johnson. And so he's got quite an imagination, this guy. So it's really out there, and it has so many moving parts, but it all somehow really fits together. And I really do like that idea that they chose for the set to be cheap looking, so it looked like
yeah, that does. If you just
or
see
all
like
the kids quit
macrame
making
all over it and stuff.
Okay, so my next choice is less horror or less obscure. Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene from 2011. Did you guys see this?
Wait, what was that called?
What?
Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. This was a big deal when it came out.
Marcy.
May, Marlene, the 4 names.
Oh, I have never heard of that.
This is 2011.
That sounds like a chant, though.
It's a mind fuck of a movie. It's by Sean Durkin, who is a young up-and-comer in the horror world. Not horror. Would be considered a thriller, a psychological thriller, but it is so disturbing. Basically, I'll just read really quick. Haunted by painful memories and increasing paranoia, a damaged woman struggles to reassimilate with her family after fleeing an abusive cult. But what happens is that the film jumps back and forth in time, and this is one of those films where it doles out information very, very slowly. So it forces you to kind of experience things the way that the lead girl does. So it's very disorienting, it's very challenging, and it leads up to an ending that is one of the best, the most exciting, ambiguous endings I've seen in a really long time. And I should also say that Brotherhood of Satan has a really ambiguous ending too. You wouldn't think a film that goofy would, but it actually does, and it works. So Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene was like a breakout for Elizabeth Olsen, and it was hard to imagine that somebody who shared genes with the Olsen twins could be good.
Oh, really?
But she is amazing, and it kicked off her career, and she's like been working ever since this film.
That's cool.
It's very unsettling, and it gets scarier and scarier as it goes, because she'll see people after she's escaped the cult that look like they may have been in the cult. And because she doesn't know, you don't know, like they'll get actors who look the same and sprinkle them through the movie. And you can't tell if it's the same. It's stuff like that, And then there's all these weird conflicts with the sister. And but the jumping around and the disorientation it creates It's verges on horror, I think, in that sense, I guess.
There's another movie that does something like that, and it's a Jovovich movie, I think. It's called Faces in the Crowd, where she can't recognize people, like she has no facial recognition. So she'll be talking to her husband, and in one scene it's one actor, and the next scene it's another actor, and the next scene it's
Wow.
another actor, and they just keep jumping and then have the same voice. So like, there's a murderer chasing her, but she never knows who it is because she
Wow.
can never recognize the dude.
Well, that's really
It was
interesting.
just kind of a cool thing they did because you as the audience could also never recognize if that was the murderer or
Right.
her waiter.
Right.
Like,
Oh, that's cool. I never even heard of it.
it's not that great of a movie, but that was a really interesting
Interesting idea.
aspect
Yeah,
to it. Yeah.
So this deals with identity, and it deals with perception, and I highly recommend it.
So
Yeah.
basically, what I got from this synopsis is the Olsen twins are actually Rosemary's Baby.
Kind of.
Rosemary's Baby. If Rosemary's Baby split into two, and this poor Elizabeth is like the younger sister. Is like, my older sisters are Satan. What do I do? How do I handle this situation? She's so good in this, though, that you don't, and she doesn't really look like them necessarily, so you don't even really think about it.
Right.
It's just really odd. Okay, so my third one is even more is even less of a horror film, at least superficially. It's Safe from 1995 by Todd Haynes, directed by.
Is it safe? Sorry.
No, it is not.
really
It was Julianne Moore's first big starring role, and it's the most upsetting film I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like I've seen this, but I can't remember.
It's an affluent and unexceptional homemaker in the suburbs develops multiple chemical sensitivity, and oh boy, it's a two-part film. The first part, she gets sicker and sicker and sicker, and discovers she has this. She may or may not. You never know. Again, this is one of these ones where you don't know, because it's from her perspective. And then the second half, she goes to this like retreat that becomes increasingly cult-like. So that's why it's fitting into my cult. I think it's a horror film. The director has been quoted as calling it a low-impact horror film. Other people have called it a horror of the soul film. He got the cinematographer from Poltergeist 3 because he wanted a certain horror look to it. It's super precise, it's super cold, it's super... and basically Julianne Moore plays a character who has no character, even before she gets sick. So it's very disturbing because it's like, do you identify, do you feel sorry for her, or do you laugh at her? For example, the film never lets you know how to feel. When she's having these attacks, horror music plays, and it's played for full-on like horror drama, even though her nose is bleeding. So one time she has an attack, or she's very upset about the fact that she's losing. She doesn't know what's going on with her, and she hugs her husband. So there's this whole like a disease of the week type of thing going on, disease movie of the week type of thing. So she hugs him and then she throws up on him. So it's like, well, was that supposed to make us laugh, or are we supposed to be horrified, or?
That's kind of nice though, because it adds a certain level of unease to the
Oh my
viewer.
God, this is unease to the nth degree. I've only seen it once, and every single scene
It's
is
painful for
seared
you
into
to
my
watch.
brain.
Yeah.
It is not something to watch if you're suffering from anxiety or depression or feeling isolated, because the film starts at a level of isolation. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And it implies that it's the world around her as much as her. And it's not an allegory for AIDS, but because one of the other characters, at least the guy who runs the cult is HIV positive, so you can't say it's just a metaphor for AIDS. But I think it's a very angry film, even though it doesn't have any emotional kind of expression to it. But the second half, I think, definitely fits into the cult movie realm, and you need that whole first half to lead up to it. And once again, there's a very ambiguous ending, but I can pretty much, without spoiling too much, you're not going to get a lot of satisfaction out of this movie. This is not you can tell from just how everything's being set up and how everything, the cast is superb, top notch, And this really, again, this sort of catapulted Julianne Moore to. Now she played, somebody suffering early onset Alzheimer's in a movie last year, and I remember somebody asked her, "How do you compare this with the character in Safe?" And she said, "In Safe, you never knew if it was her head, physical, something, like you never
psychological
knew.
Or biological,
right? So you never know. So So I recommend all three of those for all different reasons, but they're all some of the best cult movies that I could think of. I mean, there's a ton of them. I'm sure you guys.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love cult movies. They have a special place in my heart. Probably because I grew up in a super Christian background. So the cult movies are like, ooh.
That's the other interesting thing about the Brotherhood of Satan. There's like this long monologue where the guy who runs the cult is sort of like challenging each of them to take Satan into their hearts and sort of, and everything he's saying, you could easily just change Satan for God or Jesus, and it would be the exact same words. So I think the film is kind of satirizing that as well. It's just the same thing with a different character as the object of adoration.
I watched a movie just the other night, and I was so excited. It came on Amazon, and its title, I'm like done clicking watching this, because it was called Simon, King of the Witches. And I'm like, man, this movie is going to be the bomb. One, Simon is never the king of the witches. There are witches, but he is not their leader. And two, he is the worst actor I think I've ever seen in my life. There's a scene where he's like shouting to the heavens because he's trying to become a god. And he's shouting to the heavens because the other gods keep besting him. And he's just saying it like this. I will get you next time. Hands in his pockets, just looking at the sky all calm. And
they're
I'm like, this is not
gonna
the
eat
epic.
me.
Wait, what? Oh, is that a quote from
Troll 2? Right?
Oh, right. That's the famous,
Yeah.
And then he pees on everything.
He pees on everything?
That's a different scene.
It's a good way to handle things, really.
What is this movie?
Troll 2.
Oh, no. I mean, Simon, King of the Witches.
Oh, it's just a random movie that I saw on Amazon Prime.
Did you get through the whole thing?
Yeah, I did. I was gonna see it.
You're
to the
amazing.
End.
You have a stomach of iron because
it was awful. It was absolutely awful.
Interesting.
But,
well, maybe we'll do worst horror films we've ever seen at some point. Yeah. But you liked the bad.
I think I've seen worse.
This was not the worst.
No, it was just really bad.
Big diff. All right, I'm sorry. I'm
All
done.
right, no, that's good. We will wrap up and we can keep chatting after this.
So we have like
we have the 7 movies or
like
8.
10 more to give, or 7, 8, 9 more.
But first you've got this one, then there'll be another week's worth of movies, and then we'll have a special ending finale episode for that. So we will catch you guys again next week. Thanks for listening to us rant and all that jazz. See you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.
I mean, we can always cut out stuff, right?
Yeah, we can cut.
Oh yeah, like.